Welcome back guys. Now let's discuss about somatosensory pathways. The somatic sensations, somatic sensations are going through these pathways. The somatic sensation like touch, pain, temperature, pressure, these sensations are going to the brain. So somatosensory pathways. Now see, sensory information from the level of receptor, it have to be conveyed to the brain. So from the receptor, information is going to the brain. From the receptor, the information we have to carry to the brain. Now let's start from the receptor. Here is the receptor. Now when you stimulate the receptor, the first order neurons are going to the spinal cord. So the information now goes where? Into the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, information goes there. From the spinal cord, the second order neurons are going to take the information to the thalamus. Now in the thalamus, second order neurons are terminated. Now from the thalamus, the third order neurons are going to start and take the information to the cortex. Which cortex? Motor cortex? No, the information is now getting conveyed to the somatosensory cortex, which is located in the postcentral gyrus. Later I will show you. There is this one area which is called as the postcentral gyrus, which functions as a somatosensory cortex. It receives all the sensations. It processes the somatic sensations. The Brodmann's area is 312. Brodmann's area number 312 is a postcentral gyrus, which is a somatosensory cortex. Now let's start with the spinothalamic pathways. See, from the spinal cord, information is going to the thalamus, and from there it's going to the brain. So as the information is ascending up like this, these are called as ascending tracts or spinothalamic pathways. The information is getting from the spinal cord into the thalamus. The fibers are going from the spinal cord to the thalamus. So these pathways are called as the spinothalamic pathways. Now there are two important spinothalamic pathways which we have already discussed. The two important spinothalamic pathways are dorsal column pathways and anterolateral pathways. Dorsal column pathways and anterolateral pathways. Now first let's start our topic with the anterolateral pathways. Anterolateral pathways. How many types of anterolateral pathways are there? In the name itself, see, anterolateral pathway. So we are dividing it into anterior spinothalamic tract, anterior spinothalamic tract and lateral spinothalamic tract. Anterior and lateral spinothalamic tract. Now, first information is these anterolateral tracts, they carry which type of information? They will carry primitive information like touch, pain, temperature, pressure. Touch, pain, temperature, pressure are the primitive information which are carried by the anterolateral tracts. Now please look at here. Now I am showing you about, see, this one. This is the first order neuron. It is coming to the spinal cord. It is crossing to the opposite side. It is crossing to the opposite side. Now the second order neuron crosses to the opposite side. From here, see, it is ascending up. The second order neuron is crossing to the opposite side. Where? It is crossing to the contralateral side, and the second order neuron axons are traveling in the lateral column of the spinal cord. They are traveling in the lateral column of the spinal cord, and the second order neurons are going to the thalamus. So this is an example of lateral spinothalamic tract. Lateral spinothalamic tract. Lateral spinothalamic tract carry which type of information? Lateral spinothalamic tract carries temperature and pain. See guys, here you need to correct it. Here it is a temperature and pain. So temperature and pain sensations are carried by lateral spinothalamic tract. Now look at this tract. Now this is the first order neuron. It is entering into the spinal cord, and the first order neurons are terminated in the spinal cord. The second order neurons, please look at here. The second order neurons are crossing to the contralateral side. So that's why we say the anterolateral tracts. They crosses at the level of spinal cord. In the spinal cord itself, the second order neurons will cross to the contralateral side. So please look at here, the second order neurons are crossing to the opposite side, and where they are traveling? They are traveling in the anterior column. Please look at here, they are traveling in the anterior column of the spinal cord. They are not traveling in the lateral column of the spinal cord. So this is an example of anterior spinothalamic tract. Now the anterior spinothalamic tract carry which type of information? Which type of primitive information? Crude touch. Crude touch and pressure. Okay, so crude touch and pressure are traveling in the anterior spinothalamic tract. Pain and temperature are carried in the lateral column of the spinal cord. Okay, in the lateral column of the spinal cord by lateral spinothalamic tract. Okay, now for example, think logically. Now if there is a damage here, okay, here there is a damage. Okay, now here there is a damage. Now, which sensations will be lost? If there is a damage to anterior spinothalamic tract. If there is damage to anterior spinothalamic tract, there is loss of a crude touch and pressure. There is loss of crude touch and pressure in the contralateral side of the body. There is a lesion on the left side of the body. Okay, there is lesion on the left side of the body. There will be loss of sensations on the right side. If there is a lesion on the right side of the body, there will be loss of sensations on the left side. So, for example, please look at this question. Chordotomy means like we are damaging the cord. Okay, spinal cord. Chordotomy of left lateral spinothalamic tract. On the left side, lateral spinothalamic tract is damaged. If there is loss of lateral spinothalamic tract, if there is damage to lateral spinothalamic tract, we know lateral spinothalamic tract carry temperature and pain. So, there will be loss of pain and temperature. Pain and temperature lost on the right side of the body. Okay, there will be loss of pain and temperature on the right side of the body. So, this is how the questions will be asked. So, at the end of the day, important points are, the anterolateral tracts, anterolateral spinothalamic tracts are divided into two types. Anterior spinothalamic tract, lateral spinothalamic tract. Anterior spinothalamic tract is traveling in the anterior column of the spinal cord. Lateral spinothalamic tract is carrying in the lateral column of the spinal cord. Lateral carries pain and temperature. Anterior carries crude touch and pressure. Okay, so both these tracts are crossed tracts. They are crossing at the level of spinal cord itself. Okay, they are crossing in the spinal cord. The second order neurons are crossing in the spinal cord. Now, please look at here. The second order neurons, they are terminating in the thalamus. Which nucleus of the thalamus? The thalamus receiving all this sensation, all this primitive sensation. Here also, here also. In both the conditions, the thalamic nuclei which receives this sensation is called as a VPL nucleus. That is ventro-posterolateral nucleus. Ventro-posterolateral nucleus of thalamus is receiving the primitive sensations. From the ventro-posterolateral nucleus, the third order neurons are going to start. Now, these third order neurons are going to the somatosensory cortex area number 312. This is the somatosensory cortex. This part of cortex is receiving the somatic sensations. In this part of cortex, you are actually feeling the sensations. Okay, so this part of cortex, you are feeling the touch, pain, temperature, pressure. All the sensations are felt in this part of the cortex. Now, let's talk about the dorsal column sensations. Dorsal column pathway in the spinal cord. Okay, in the spinal cord, see. Now, the ascending tracts are not going through the lateral column. They are not even going through the anterior column. Where they are going? See, this tract. Okay, these tracts are going in the dorsal column. Dorsal column. How many tracts are there? The green color one and this yellow color one. Two tracts are there. Okay. Now, let's understand. So, from the lower limb, advanced sensations are going up. From the upper limbs, advanced sensations are going up. Now, you will get it out. What are these advanced sensations? See, dorsal column pathways, they are going to carry advanced sensations. And these dorsal column pathways are highly myelinated fibers. Okay, these dorsal column pathways are highly myelinated fibers. They are fast conducting fibers. They have the fastest speed of conduction of the action potentials. First of all, which information is going through these dorsal column pathways? Advanced information, advanced sensations. What are they? Fine touch, touching with a feather, fine touch, vibration, conscious proprioception, stereognosis, 2-point discrimination. All these are the advanced sensations. You know what is a fine touch? You know what is a vibration? And conscious proprioception. What is conscious proprioception? Okay, conscious proprioception. Now, for example, all the time from your from your joints, how much flexion is there, how much extension is there from all your muscles. Information is going to the central nervous system. Information is going to the cortex. Which type of information? Where exactly the body parts are present. Now, you don't remember them consciously. You are not thinking about them consciously, but information is going to the cortex. The moment you start to think where my little finger is, where exactly my elbow is, you will know in this three-dimensional space where exactly my body organs are positioned, where exactly my body parts are positioned. Even without looking, I can touch my thumb. Okay, so I know where my thumb is, I know where my little finger is, I know where my elbow is. Even without looking, I can say where my body parts are. So when I think consciously, I know where my body parts are. This means some information from here is now being carried to the central nervous system. So this is conscious proprioception. Even your cerebellum is receiving the information about the proprioception. That is unconscious proprioception. Unconscious proprioception is going to the cerebellum. Conscious proprioception is carried to the cortex, and this conscious proprioception is an advanced sense. Okay, advanced sensation going through the dorsal column pathway. And what is stereognosis? Stereognosis is, I ask you to close your eyes and I am just keeping some object in your hand. For example, I am just keeping a remote into your hand. Now, even without looking at it, just by tactile sensations, okay, tactile feeling, you can say that, okay, this is like a remote. Okay, it just felt like a remote. So, you can identify an object just with tactile sensation. So, this type of sensations which are going to the central nervous system are called as a stereognosis. So, stereognosis is the ability to identify object just with the tactile sensations. Okay. Now, let's talk about the 2-point discrimination. 2-point discrimination means, okay, 2-point discrimination means already we have discussed. Okay, in the previous videos we have discussed ability to identify two different stimulus which are just near to each other. Okay, identify to or discriminate two different stimulus in a very small region. Okay, already explained. See, this is your fingertip. Now, on your fingertip, I am touching on two areas. Okay, here and here with two needles I am touching. But still you can identify, sir, you are touching on my finger on two different points at a time. So, you will feel the two different points as, or you can discriminate the two different points as individual points. So, this is 2-point discrimination. So, this 2-point discrimination, this information is also going through the dorsal column tract, Okay. So, these are the advanced sensations. First of all, these are the advanced sensations. Okay, these are the advanced sensations. All these advanced sensations, where they are going through the dorsal column pathways. Now, from your lower limb, all these advanced sensations are going through a pathway called as fasciculus gracilis. Okay, how to understand this? See, the first order neuron from your lower limb, it is coming into the spinal cord. All it is carrying the advanced sensations. From your lower limb, the first order neuron are carrying the advanced sensations. These first order neurons are entering where? They are entering into the spinal cord. Okay, they are entering into the spinal cord. Now, in the spinal cord, the first order neurons are not terminated. The first order neurons are jumping into the dorsal column. But when I am talking about the anterolateral pathways, in the anterolateral pathways, what I have said, the first order neurons are going to terminate in the spinal cord. The second order neuron starts from the spinal cord in anterolateral pathways, primitive pathways. But what I am saying you here, the advanced sensations which are coming through the first order neurons from your lower limb, they are entering into the spinal cord. Okay, they enter into the spinal cord, but they do not terminate. So, first order fiber, say the first order neuron, it will jump into the dorsal column without getting terminated. It will jump into the dorsal column and it will ascend up. Okay, in the form of fasciculus gracilis. So, here is the fasciculus gracilis which is present medially, more medially. Okay, more medially is the fasciculus gracilis, this green color thing. Okay, from this side as well as this side, from one limb and the other limb. Okay, from both the sides of the body. See, here is the fasciculus gracilis. Two fasciculus gracilis are there. Okay, from this side of the body and from this side of the body, from right and left side. Now, you will understand, you will get more clarity. See, from the upper limbs or from the upper part of the body, the advanced sensations are carried by, see, this first order neuron. This is the first order neuron which is carrying the advanced sensations. Now, this first order neuron, where it is jumping, again it is jumping into the dorsal column. The first order neuron is not getting terminated. The first order neuron is jumping into the dorsal column. Now, these fibers which are ascending up, these are called as fasciculus cuneatus. Okay, so fasciculus cuneatus on this side as well as, see, this bundle, fasciculus cuneatus on the other side. So, what I am trying to put into your mind is the fasciculus gracilis. It's a bundle, it's axons which are carrying the advanced sensations from the lower limb, which are present more medially in the dorsal column, and these first order neurons, see, which are carrying the advanced sensations from the upper limbs or the upper extremities or the upper part of the body, are going again into the dorsal column. They are present more laterally. This column is called as fasciculus cuneatus. So in the spinal cord there is fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus. Both of them are present where? They are present in the dorsal column. Okay. See, these first order neurons, they are going up to the medulla. Now in the medulla, the first order neurons are going to be terminated. The first order neurons in this dorsal column pathway are terminated where? In medulla, in nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus. Fasciculus gracilis terminate in nucleus gracilis, fasciculus cuneatus terminate in nucleus cuneatus. So from nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus, second order neurons are going to come. So the first order neurons are getting terminated where? The first order neurons are terminated in fasciculus gracilis, nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus. Please look at here, this is the medulla. In the medulla there is nucleus cuneatus and nucleus gracilis. Now fasciculus gracilis terminates in nucleus gracilis. Fasciculus cuneatus terminates in nucleus cuneatus. Okay, well and good. Now what happens? See, from here the second order neurons will start. Now the second order neurons are crossing to the opposite side. Okay, the second order neurons are crossing to the opposite side. Now from this side, second order neurons crosses to contralateral side. Crossing will occur. Now this crossing is called as internal arcuate fibers. This crossing is called as internal arcuate fibers. Okay, so these are the internal arcuate fibers. Now the crossing, the second order neurons are crossing in the medulla. Now the second order neurons, now they will start to ascend up. Okay, now they will start to ascend up. Now see, the second order neurons are ascending up like this, these second order neurons. And now these second order neurons which are passing through the pons and midbrain, these second order neurons are called as medial lemniscus. So medial lemniscus is nothing but the second order neurons which are carrying the advanced sensations. Now this medial lemniscus is going to terminate again in the thalamus. Which nucleus? Same, ventro-posterolateral nucleus. Even the advanced sensations are terminated in ventro-posterolateral nucleus of thalamus. Now from the thalamus, the third order neurons are going to start, and even the third order neurons which are carrying the advanced sensations, they will also go to the somatosensory cortex, that is area number 312. So from this we can say even the advanced sensations as well as the somatic as well as the primitive sensations, touch, pain, temperature, pressure, as well as the advanced sensations like fine touch, proprioception, conscious proprioception, 2-point discrimination, okay, stereognosis, even they are also going to same somatosensory cortex area number 312. Even in the thalamus, the nucleus which is receiving the advanced sensations as well as the primitive sensations is ventro-posterolateral nucleus. Important point about the dorsal column pathways is, dorsal column pathways are purely sensory. They will carry only sensory information. In the dorsal column of the spinal cord, there are no descending tracts, only ascending tracts are there. These dorsal column sensations are advanced sensations. The dorsal column pathways are highly myelinated and fast conducting pathways. Now from the lower limb, the advanced sensations are carried by the fasciculus gracilis, and from the upper limb, the advanced sensations are carried by fasciculus cuneatus. The crossing of the second order neurons does not happen in the spinal cord. The crossing of the second order neurons happens in the medulla, and that crossing is called as internal arcuate fibers. Okay, internal arcuate fibers. Now after discussing, let's discuss the summary part. Now let's discuss about the anterolateral pathways. See, anterolateral pathways are anterior spinothalamic tract and lateral spinothalamic tract. See where they crosses and travels to the contralateral spine in the spinal cord itself. In the spinal cord itself, they will cross to the opposite side. Okay. Now the dorsal column pathways. What are the dorsal column pathways? Fasciculus gracilis, fasciculus cuneatus. Okay. Dorsal column medial lemniscal system. Okay, we will call it as like dorsal column medial lemniscal system. So this dorsal column pathways travels ipsilaterally in the spinal cord but crosses contralaterally in the medulla. Okay. Now thalamus. Thalamus is considered as a relay station. All the sensations, primitive sensations, advanced sensations, where they are coming to the ventro-posterolateral nucleus of the thalamus. Okay. So the nucleus receiving the sensations, all the advanced sensations and primitive sensations are coming to the ventral-posterolateral nucleus of thalamus, and from the ventral-posterolateral nucleus of thalamus, the third order neurons are going to start, and from there they are going to the somatosensory cortex. Now, if you understood the concept of ascending tracts, that is the anterolateral pathways as well as the dorsal column pathways. Now, let's talk about a syndrome called as the Brown-Sequard syndrome. What is happening in this Brown-Sequard syndrome? Very simple. Imagine that there is this one person who is going on a motorcycle. Now, he had a road traffic accident. So, in that road traffic accident, half of the spinal cord got damaged. There is a transection, half of the spinal cord got damaged. Or imagine there is this one person who had a bullet injury. Okay, now that bullet have damaged half of the spinal cord. Okay, or imagine there is a stab injury where half of the spinal cord got damaged. Half of the spinal cord is cut like this. Now what will happen? See, this is what is Brown-Sequard syndrome. Half of the spinal cord is damaged. This is called as a hemisection of the spinal cord. Whenever there is hemisection of spinal cord, what will happen? Definitely the person is going to have loss of certain sensations. Which sensations are lost? Okay, now look at here guys. See, this is the dorsal column, which consists of what? Fasciculus, gracilis. See, this is the fasciculus, gracilis. Here is the fasciculus, cuneatus. Now tell me, the fasciculus, gracilis and fasciculus, cuneatus, are they affected or not? Are they in the affected region or not? Yes, they are affected. Now, if you look at the spinal cord, here in the lateral column, there is lateral spinothalamic tract. This is the lateral spinothalamic tract. Here is the anterior spinothalamic tract. Lateral spinothalamic tract, anterior spinothalamic tract, even they are affected. So, dorsal column sensations are lost, no doubt. Anterolateral sensations, touch, pain, temperature, pressure, even they are lost, no doubt. But important point is, see, this lateral spinothalamic tract and anterior spinothalamic tract on this side of the body, they are carrying information from the opposite side. So, they are carrying touch, pain, temperature, pressure from the opposite side of the body. So, there is loss of touch, pain, temperature sensations from the opposite side of the body, or I can say there is loss of primitive sensations, loss of anterolateral sensations from the opposite side of the body or the contralateral side of the body, but loss of dorsal column sensations. Dorsal column tracts are uncrossed tracts. Loss of dorsal column sensations from the same side or ipsilateral side of the body. So, Brown-Sequard syndrome, it is a hemisection of the spinal cord. And what is happening? There is ipsilateral, same side loss of dorsal column sensations. Dorsal column sensations are uncrossed sensations. So, that's why ipsilateral loss of dorsal column sensations, but contralateral loss of anterolateral column sensations. Also remember, see here, this is the, this is what? This is the ventral horn. Ventral horn is getting affected. The ventral horn is in the area of damage. So, when ventral horn is affected, motor neurons are going to be damaged. We have discussed in the ventral horn, motor neurons are there. Which motor neurons? Lower motor neurons are there. These lower motor neurons, they will go to the muscle for the contraction of muscle, okay, on the same side of the body. So, when you lose this ventral horn, motor neurons are dead. So, motor neurons cannot go and contract the skeletal muscle. So, there is ipsilateral, same side, motor paralysis is seen. Okay, so the same side, the patient is going to have ipsilateral motor paralysis with loss of contralateral, with the contralateral loss of touch, pain, temperature, and ipsilateral loss of dorsal column sensations. Okay, hope the video is helpful. Thank you.